As a budding biomedical or neuroscience researcher, you may be asking yourself, why should I care about race in my research? After all, if we can model different disease processes and drug treatments using animals, then why is race important? To answer these questions, you have to go further to ask, where did the models of disease that I'm researching come from in the first place? Did we come to know about clinical depression from observing animals who looked sad? And how did we decide what sad looked like anyway? Did questions about pain come from watching an animal cringe after being foot shocked? And again, how do we know what to look for to identify pain? It turns out the neurobiological models that form the foundation of your research, whether it involves human or animal subjects, come from observing and diagnosing disease outcomes in humans. The next question you may want to consider is, who were the people being studied to understand this disease? For many years, most research on mental and physical illnesses was conducted almost exclusively with males. You may be wondering, what about illnesses like depression, which occur more in women, or addictions that women find harder to quit, like smoking? Historically, the research to understand these problems was still conducted with all male participants. And this didn't only apply to human studies. Even animal studies used mostly males. So why does this matter? Well, let's consider what we now know about heart attacks. In the past, people assumed the symptoms of a heart attack were the same for everyone. But because research looked mostly at males, we were really only studying how heart attacks happened in, well, males. This is a big deal. The different symptoms that women showed weren't even recognized, let alone studied. Because we didn't know this, when a woman felt dizzy and had upper back pain, she was more likely to take an aspirin than to call 911, a choice we now know could have life-altering consequences. Not only was research conducted mostly in men, but those men were also almost always white. This has had negative consequences. For a long time, we didn't know that the threshold for dangerously high blood pressure was quite a bit lower for black men than it is for white men. This means that black men need to maintain a lower blood pressure level than white men to decrease the risk of heart disease. Different treatment methods, like diet or drugs, can also work differently for black people. There could be many different reasons for this, such as diet and salt sensitivity, poverty, and exposure to stressors, such as racism or pollution. And so, while there are overlaps among all humans, differences of sex or race can have deadly results if all of our research is conducted with only white male participants. Going forward, models of neuroscience need to be based on observations of many different groups of people for us to fully understand disease mechanisms, outcomes, and treatments. Next, you might want to consider who is asking the research questions. When women do research about women, or when black people do research about black people, the research is sometimes seen as narrow or as serving special interests. However, research conducted by predominantly white males is thought of as colorblind or sex-blind and is seen as objective and unbiased. But as you've now learned, this is not a good approach. There may be invisible but important characteristics of mental or physical illnesses that don't even occur to white men. For this reason, we need scientists from all backgrounds in order to have different perspectives and interpretations. Diversity among those asking the scientific questions is important if you want to find the truth. Neuroscience research is not only about animal diseases or treatments. It is fundamentally about human concerns, and race is a part of that. As a budding scientist, it's important to recognize and consider race in your research because it provides a more comprehensive and accurate understanding of illnesses and treatments. However, simply including race isn't enough. How you define race can affect your findings. Is race a social construct, or a biological construct, or a combination of both? In our next videos, find out how to define race and what ethical issues should be considered when conducting research.